Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai 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 Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om everybody.
Hari Om, Swami.
Hari Om. So yesterday we covered about 5 slogas with 5 examples from chapter number 18. Purpose is not to go through the sloka alone. How do we understand that the Veda is connected to it? Is connected to our daily life, family life, professional life, social life, individual life. It is not a sloka to be recited and revered. It has to be recited, revered. At the same time, we have to also draw the inspiration as to how it impacts in our daily life. This is the motive behind this project. So it should not become a textual exercise, academic exercise. But we have plenty of such commentaries, inspiring commentaries, everything is there that we can make use of it. Here what is now being contemplated upon is how does it help me in my spiritual life, the worldly life. There is no spiritual and worldly life. How does it help me in my very life to be lived? How does it improve the quality of my life? These are all the questions we are asking ourselves. So every shloka when we say how does it is very difficult because we have not been given this right from our impressionable age. So it's a tough job, uphill task. But if we don't take pains to integrate, chair again, you can take the chair. If we don't take the pains to integrate it with our present day, it becomes a text. To everybody will say, in Gita, we should learn, we should help me and help me. In what way it has helped you, if somebody asks, we will not be able to answer. Gita chanting, so many things are being done. Those are all necessary, not that invalid, but we should not stop with that. Then only we will be able to have an emotional binding with the Bhagavad Gita. So that is the background of this project. So with that, we started moving. This is the chart. We have identified about 20 slokas. Shloka, caption, clues to examples, one line of the shloka, and which segment, social, personal, professional.
Sharing. It is not in sharing itself.
It must be there.
Since
it is there. It is there. So when we say shloka, second one mistake, and dedication. Karunakaran's resolve to serve downtrodden patients. Yesterday we read that, you remember? Yajnadana Davakarma. The shloka starts with that. And segment, social. And seventh shloka, dereliction of duty. Young man realizes not to abandon duties. नियतस्य तु संन्यासं कर्मणो नोपयुज्यते मोहत्तस्य परित्यागं तामसं परिकीर्तिते. Number 3, 10th sloka, humility, Abdul Kalam's balanced attitude. Nadveshta kushalam karma kushale nanushajyate tyagi sattva samavishtu medhavi chinna samshaya. So everywhere you get some clues also. So we will remember. And 4th is 11, karma yogi. Matthew's active but detached life. He is available for all service, but he is not expecting anything. And then 5th is 12th, support. Cardiac surgeon realizes no action is so. That is over.
Shloka number.
Shloka number?
She is asking. 14. She is thinking it's
Adhishthana,
14.
14. Adhishthana. Adhishthana Tatakarta. So this is how we are proceeding. So just for the sake of newcomers, we will go through it again. Karunakaran, a dedicated government officer, made service a guiding principle throughout his life. Even during his demanding career, he consistently set aside time for charitable activities, that is, organizing food drives, supporting education for underprivileged children, volunteering at local shelters. Alongside these outward, Karunakaran maintained a disciplined spiritual routine. Daily scriptural studies, Swadhyay, attending Satsang, observing regular fasting, practicing other forms of sadhana. These practices, he believed, not only refined his character, but also uplifted those around him. After retiring, Karunakaran's commitment deepened. He chose to donate much of his savings and personal belongings to a medical mission dedicated to providing free health centers in remote, underserved communities. Beyond financial support, he offered his time and skills, helping manage outreach camps, comforting patients with compassion and humility. For Karunakaran, these acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance were not mere duties, but essential practices that brought inner purification and a sense of fulfillment, demonstrating the Gita's teaching that such actions should never be abandoned, for they benefit both the individual and the society. Karunakaran's life example, a teaching from number 5, that's what we read it. Yajnadana tavakarma nyatyajyam karyameva tadu yajnodhanam tapashcheva pavanani manishinam. Actions based upon sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. They must certainly be performed. Indeed, acts of service, charity and penance are purifying even for those who are wise. You see how it fits in, no? So we are trying to understand the meaning through a live example. Second is dereliction. The young man, though sincere in his spiritual quest, initially neglected his primary responsibility, supporting his family, who depended on him financially and emotionally. His sudden resignation, withdrawal from worldly duties, under the impression that renunciation alone would lead to spiritual progress, caused distress and hardship to his loved ones. This act aligns with what the Gita calls tamasic renunciation, giving up duties out of confusion or escapism, rather than wisdom. After years of wandering and inner struggle, the young man realized that true spiritual growth does not come from abandoning one's responsibilities, but from fulfilling them with dedication and selflessness. By returning to his job and resuming his support for the family, he embodied the Gita's teaching. Real renunciation lies not in forsaking action, but in performing one's described duties without attachment. This transformation from escapism to responsible action is the essence of the message of slogan number 7. Niyatasya tu sannyasam karmano nopapadyate mohattasya parityagam tamasam parikirtitaha. Prescribed duty should never be abandoned. Such deluded renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. We now start realizing how Gita is addressing not the certain traits in us, tendencies in us. How does it give the guidance? Prescribed duty should never be renounced. Then slogan number 10, humility. In 1979, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was the project director for India's first satellite launch vehicle at ISRO. The mission able to put the Rohini satellite into orbit, a historic step for India's space program. However, the launch did not go as planned. Due to a technical error, the rocket veered off course and the mission failed, with the satellite falling into the Bay of Bengal. When the failure was reported, Professor Dhawan, who was the chairman then, told the media that the failure was the responsibility of the organization's leadership. He was the president. He shielded Dr. Kalam and his team from blame, demonstrating true leadership. A year later, 1980, the team tried again. This time the launch was successful. The India's first satellite was placed into orbit. At the press conference following this time, Professor Dhawan invited Dr. Kalam to address the media and take the credit for the successful mission. Dr. Kalam was working under Professor Dhawan. Dr. Kalam often recounted the story, emphasizing how Professor Dhawan took responsibility for failure, but gave full credit to the team for success. Inspired by his mentor, Dr. Kalam adopted this leadership style throughout his career. He would personally shoulder the blame when things went wrong. But when success came, he made sure to highlight the contribution of every team member. This mirrors the wisdom of slogan number 10, which teaches that a true renouncer is free from attachment to success or failure, neither exulting in achievement nor lamenting setbacks. Slogan is Nadveshtu Kushalam Karma Kushale Nanu Shaktate Tyagi Sattva Samavishto Medhavi Chinna Samshaya. Those who neither avoid disagreeable work nor seek work because it is agreeable are persons of true renunciation. They are endowed with quality of the mode of goodness and have no doubts. Professor Dhawan's and Dr. Kalam's balanced attitude, accepting outcomes without ego or regret, exemplifies the Gita's ideal of selfless, detached action in leadership. Then, slogan number 11, Karma Yogi. Sri Matthew, after a distinguished career in a large tea company, retired with the intention of living a quiet, commitment-free life. However, his deep expertise and reputation in the plantation community soon led to a coffee estate owner to seek his guidance in resolving complex labor issues. Recognizing the need, Sri Matthew agreed to help, not for financial gain or recognition, but purely out of love. Purely out of love for the work and a desire to be of service, he offered his advice and support whenever called upon, without any expectation of reward or personal benefit. This selfless attitude exemplifies the teaching of the Shloka. While it is impossible to completely renounce our action, true renunciation lies in giving up attachment to the results. Sri Matthew continued to act, but with a spirit of detachment, motivated by service rather than self-interest, thus embodying the Gita's idea of karma phalatya. This is echoed in slogan number 11. Nahi deha pritya shakyam त्यक्त्वं कर्माण्य शेषतः यस्तु कर्म फलत्यागी सत्यागीत्य अभिधीयते. For the embodied being, it is impossible to give up activities entirely, but those who relinquish the fruits of their action are said to be truly renounced. Then comes last one. Before every open heart surgery, a seasoned cardiac surgeon takes a quiet moment of reflection, not merely to hope for success, but to align himself with something higher. With folded hands and steady heart, he silently invokes the divine, not out of fear, but out of reverence and responsibility. Despite years of training and flawless technique, he is deeply aware that no action is ever accomplished in isolation. Nobody can take the credit by himself. In his quiet prayer, he acknowledges 5 essential components that must come together for the operation to succeed. The operating room, the space, the infrastructure, the sterile environment that form the stage for the action. The surgeon himself, as the conscious agent who bears responsibility and intention. The surgical instruments, the precise tool through which this work is carried out. And the medical team, nurses, anesthetists. Technicians whose coordinated effort makes the process possible. Divine grace, that unseen but ever-present force which determines how the patient responds, heals, survives, factors beyond all human control. This inner attitude of humility and surrender reflects the timeless wisdom of the Shloka 14. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pravidvidam vividascha pradakcheshta Devam Chaivatra Panchamam 5. The body, the base, the doer, the soul, the various instruments, diverse effort and divine will. These 5 are the causes of every action. Anything. While the world often celebrates outcomes and attributes success to individual excellences, this surgeon reminds us that real success is a symphony of factors: skill, teamwork, environment, intention, and grace. His mantra, we treat, he cures, is more than a phrase. It's a lived understanding that action reaches fulfillment only when human effort is harmonized with divine will. In the end, true accomplishment lies not in control, but in offering our best and surrendering the rest. Offering our best and surrendering the rest. So this is how in the sloga and an example is blended. So that now we know these slogas relate to us. Not a shloka to be revered and kept in the shelf, but a shloka that has something to do with our life. Today we will take up 6th. In the aftermath of a massive building collapse in a crowded city, chaos reigned, sirens wailed, crowds surged, fear gripped the air. Among the first responders was Ravindra, a seasoned firefighter, known not just for his courage, but for his calm composure. As his team rushed into the debris-filled corridors structure, cries for help echoed from within. With no time to weigh risk or calculate praise, Ravindra crawled through unstable beams and flaming corridors to reach trapped civilians. He pulled a young girl from under the shattered concrete, rushed back in the rescue an elderly man caught beneath a crumbling stairwell. Every second was a gamble between life and death. By the end of the day, many lives were saved, some were lost. As the media hailed him a hero, Ravindra quietly returned to his barracks, washed his soot-covered hands, and sat silently. He neither celebrated nor mourned. When asked how he felt about the lives he had saved, he simply replied, "It was my duty." He harbored no pride in success, no sorrow for what could not be changed. His actions flowed not from ego, but from a deep place of responsibility and detachment. His conduct reflects the essence of 17. Yasya naham kridho bhavo buddhiryasya na lipyate hatvabisa imam lokan nahandi na nipatyate. He who has no sense of ego, whose intellect is unattached, even though he kills, He does not kill, nor he is bound. Vividna's example teaches us that when action is stripped of ego and attachment, it becomes an offering, not a burden. Such action may be intense, even life-altering, but the doer remains untouched, free from both the bondage of pride and the sting of guilt.
Shloka number also.
17.
17.
यस्य नाहंकृतो भावो बुद्धिर्यस्य न लिप्यते हत्वापि स इमां लोकान् न हन्ति न निपद्यते. He is not bound, nipadyate. So we are trying not merely textual knowledge, we are trying to understand the sloka through an example. Plenty of examples you will get. Then we move to the sloka number 18. Dr. Meera, a young epidemiologist, had been studying rural health patterns for years. One day, while analyzing field data, she noticed a troubling trend. A sharp rise in cases of preventable waterborne disease in a tribal belt. She did not dismiss it just as another statistic. Her knowledge gave her clarity, the community suffering became her focus, and her sense of inner responsibility as a healer moved her to act. She immediately coordinated with the local health workers, identified contaminated water sources, launched an awareness campaign. From creating simple infographics in the local language to arranging water purification kits, every action was guided by the clear perception of the problem, the urgency to resolve it, and her own position as the agent of meaningful change. She used every tool at her disposal: medical expertise, public communication, local networks, not to gain accolades, but to bridge the gap between understanding and service. Within weeks, the outbreak curve began to drop, lives were saved. This seamless flow of action, sparked by knowledge, directed towards a known goal, and executed by a committed knower, is exactly what Shloka 18 encapsulates. Jnanam Nyeyam Parijnata Trividha Karmachodana Karanam Karma Kartedi Trividha Karma Sangraha. Knowledge, known, the knower. These are the three motivators of action. Anything, knowledge, known, the knower. The instrument, the act, and the doer. These form the threefold basis of action. Not merely jnana. Not merely the known, but identify, okay, what can I do? No. And the knower. So Dr. Meera's response was not mechanical. It was a conscious, integrated action where awareness, purpose, execution harmonized into effective service. Her story reminds us that behind every meaningful action lies the convergence of understanding, intention, appropriate effort. See now how it relates to our daily life. When we were involved in the setting up of an old age home in Wayanad, in a remote area, and initially about 5 or 10 destitutes were there, we used to go there very often. So one day, 2-3 people came, and they are traveling all the way from a distant place. Somehow they came to know that this is a remote area. Even vehicle, unless you have your own vehicle, you cannot reach. But they took the trouble of coming. And when we asked them, what do you want? They said, we have almost eradicated leprosy, but still one or two cases are there. One person who was affected with leprosy and got treated is one of your inmates. So we would like to see him. And if necessary, we will give the medication also. We will monitor him. We were thrilled. Then we located that person. Then he said, yes, I was taking medicine. He was almost free. But some patches are there. Then he said, you should take the medicine. When we go through that, we remember, the dedicated action. And then they continue to supply medicine also. So that commitment. It is not merely knowledge. It is not merely the field. It is not merely the organization. Unless these are coordinated together, it cannot be a successful act. So we remember all these. When we try to get an example, so many such examples touch and kill it. This is the tangible gain of this exercise. So when you keep on repeating such incidents in your mind, it develops a tendency, to know more about it, to associate with it, and it will slowly influence in our action. Whenever anything is needed, these three will come before us. Whatever God has facilitated to know for us, it should be for the purpose, not for keeping quiet as a knowledge. Immediately we should spread it. In Puranic stories, somebody, I don't exactly remember that character. So, something is going to happen tomorrow. So the Bhima heard this and he went and...
That is Papa's stories, it is there. One day, Dharmaraja gives one day extra to somebody.
Yeah.
So he will say he has 1 hour...
one over the death.
1 hour.
Because that means, immediately you spread the message. The idea is, when you get a knowledge, you should know that God has facilitated you to get that knowledge.
Please repeat this. Please explain.
Story that Dharmaraja...
No, forget about the story. You will get back to the story. What we are trying is, the moment we get something, it should be immediately
Put in action
or shared. Because God is making us to know something and not to keep it for ourselves. This we should know. This is the message of this slogan. Anything, immediately you share. You don't have to keep it for yourself. When we were working in my Bosch company in Madras, our boss used to say, the efficiency of a boss lies in making it more efficient in his absence. He should not centralize anything, because then only the institution will prosper. So God facilitates to make us aware of so many things. Immediately you share, so that the institution will prosper. You don't have transparent. And immediately, otherwise, without me it cannot run. Then the ego plays. Institution is going to be the casualty. So always, share. Because why you share? God makes you aware of this for sharing. Even today we are all doing it because this Bhagavad Gita, if it was conveyed to Arjuna by Lord Krishna 6,000 years ago, why you and I are now sitting and hearing? It was shared, through parampara. Everything, when you go to the class, the history, geography, mathematics, anything, all sharing, Remember the first person to who conceived these subjects when there was no curriculum or syllabus or text. The first person. Now then we got improved. When there was no specs in the world, somebody got this idea, God gave him. Because he did not keep it to himself. Then it got improved, and we are now using it at this stage. So in all our workaday life, we find it is the God wills that it should be shared. Suppose because of me and mine, suppose I keep it for myself, it is not in line with Bhagavad. Slogan number 20. It was the day of the school sports competition, and the 100-yard dash was about to begin, but this was no ordinary race. At the starting line stood 9 contestants, each one physically or mentally challenged in some way. For them, the race was not just about winning, it was about courage, effort, and the joy of participating. The starter's pistol fired, 8 of the children set off, not in a burst of speed, but with determination and delight, each step a victory. Each step a victory. But just a few yards in, one little boy stumbled, fell hard on the asphalt, began to cry. The sound of his sobs echoed across the track. The other 8 runners heard him. This is the crux. One by one, they slowed, turned, looked back. Without a word, they all walked back to where he lay. A girl with Down syndrome knelt beside him, gently kissed his bruised knee. This will make it better. Then together, all 9 children linked arms, walked into the finish line as one. The crowd in the stadium rose to its feet, cheering, applauding for several minutes. There were no losers that day, only winners, united by compassion and understanding. These children did not see themselves as competitors or separate individuals. Instead, they recognized their shared humanity and responded with unity, empathy, love. They responded with unity, empathy, and love. A spirit beautifully exemplified in the 20th sloka in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sarvabhuteshu yenaigam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tat jnanam vidhi satvikam.
Caption is not that caption.
Caption will be written oneness. Understand that knowledge to be in the mode of goodness by which a person sees one individual imperishable reality, by which a person sees one undivided imperishable reality within all diverse living beings. True wisdom is seeing the oneness in all, beyond physical or mental differences. As the Gita teaches, when we recognize the undivided spirit within diversity of life, our actions become acts of compassion and unity. The greatest victories are not those won alone, but those where we lift each other up and cross the finish line together. Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tatjnanam vidhi satvikam. This is called the Sattvic tract. If you only read the Gita and meaning, it becomes only philosophy. But when we join together with an example, oh, this is what he meant. And so, many a time when we go through it again and again and again, it produces samskara, a culture in us. And it will start slowly percolating. Not that we will become alright one day after hearing this, but it will be set in motion, no doubt. Because it touches our heart. We are visualizing. That is why the entire people who are crowd in the stadium, they couldn't contain this. God is there in everybody, in the form of goodness. So that goodness was touched by these differentially able children who were not given any instruction by anybody. It was spontaneous. From Kannur, visually impaired children used to come every, say, 3 months or 6 months. If you watch how each one supports each one, they cannot walk, independently. You will be in tears. After getting down from the vehicle, each one, the leader will be leading, we have got vision. But the other person, and they will be holding together. And if there is any problem, they will stop. We used to watch this. We people who have got both eyes, probably we may ignore a bit. We may not give it, but they are teaching us through this. Oneness, oneness, oneness. Slogan number 20. Over now. Again, okay. When guided by inner vision, action becomes offering. Creation flows where purpose and clarity meet. An energetic man once saw a barren land in a village. Guided by creativity and a positive outlook, he envisioned a lush coffee garden. Despite rocky terrain and poor soil, his knowledge and experience fueled determined effort. In just 3 years, the land blossomed with coffee, pepper, and fruits. When knowledge sees potential in diversity and unites it with purpose, creativity awakens. This reflects the Gita slogan number 20, saying, true knowledge perceives the one perishable essence in all varieties of life. So this, why 2 examples were given, to know that each example can give us so many different. It is not centered on one. First we saw how the 9 children jointly won the match, competition. Here we find how creativity helps when it is structured and kindled and given an opportunity. So true knowledge perceives the one imperishable essence in all varieties of life. A barren land is there. A cultivable land is there. A cultivated land is there. So if we are in a position to understand this, the transformation of a barren land into a vibrant garden stands as a living example of sattvic knowledge. While others saw dry soil and rocky terrain, one person saw hidden potential and acted with quiet determination. His wisdom was not clouded by obstacles or ownership, but rooted in purpose. This reflects the Gita's teaching. The true knowledge and wisdom is that which sees the one undivided, imperishable essence in all diversity and acts accordingly with commitment and clarity.
Can you capture Caption? Inspiration.
Inspiration. Number 25. A mid-sized consumer electronics company, eager to outspace its competitors, rushed to the launch of a new high-end electric kettle. Though initial lab tests flagged overheating risks, the warnings were brushed aside. The leadership, confident in the brand's popularity, prioritized market timing over safety verification. Prioritized market timing over safety verification. No field trials were conducted and feedback from quality control engineers were dismissed. The product hit the shelves with flashy promotions and an aggressive sales campaign, but within weeks, complaints began to pour in, causing injuries, electrical malfunctions, and even small kitchen fires. The public backlash was swift, unforgiving. Lawsuits followed, product was recalled, and the company suffered massive losses, not only financially, but also in public trust. This was not a case of calculated risk. It was action born out of delusion, arrogance, and negligence, with no thought for potential harm or real capacity to deliver a safe product. Such a course of action is described in Shloka number 25. Anubandham kshayam himsa anavekshita paurusham mohadharabhyade karma yattat tamasam uchyate. That is called tamasic action. What is tamasic action? Now we found that. That action is declared to be tamasic, which is undertaken out of delusion, without regard for consequences, loss, or injury to others, or one's own capacity. Just think. Everything has been outlined in Bhagavad Gita. This incident deserves as a stark reminder that when action is driven by haste, ego, or ignorance, disregarding impact and limitations, it leads not to growth, but destruction. Gita calls us to pause, reflect, and act with awareness, so our energy builds, not breaks. Recently in Kerala, this had happened. An enthusiastic person took up some project, wide publicity. For half the price, majority of the household articles were given. Everybody believed because he's a good person. Lakhs and lakhs of customers placed their trust and money. And one fine morning, it was revealed that they were not genuine. Court cases, so many things are going on. But around in Kerala, in every place, some agents, believing that they entered into this, they collected money. And they were all in trouble. Even in Kanyampara. One person known for his integrity and character. Because people will believe him. They gave money. He sold his property and cleared the debts, cleared his dues to everybody. Whatever he had, because to him, people believe. He can always say, I was cheated, so I am not responsible, I have not taken any pie out of it. He has passed it on. He doesn't have any money. So because the project was carved out of delusion without regard for consequences, loss, injury to others, or one's own capacity.
Caption.
Rashness. So we covered about 5 more today. Let us have a recap. Anything that we remember? This is not for verification or testing. Whether the theme goes inside, that is what we are.
Ravindran, fighter.
Hari Om.
No, the caption.
Order in deep samadhi.
Swamiji,
Ah.
Vairat Vruddhashram,
Huh?
in Vairat Vruddhashram, when some...
Vairat Vruddhashram.
One of the members was suffering, had cleared
Leprosy. You told about the leprosy.
Confirmed and giving medicine.
Ah. Good. Then
Selflessness among the children, selflessness.
ಅದು oneness, differently.
Oneness.
oneness. Put your
Then children competition, they
Competition.
hold each other said that
Oneness.
oneness. Let everybody say one each.
Swamiji,
Ah.
my friend Dr. Datta is a pathologist in Hubli.
In Hubli, our friend
And,
Datta is a pathologist.
Can you hear me, Swamiji?
Huh?
Can you hear me? She says.
Ah.
So my friend Dr. Datta in Hubli is a pathologist. One day when he was swimming, his friend, he was swimming with him, and he saw a patch on the left rib side. Then he gently told him, made him understand, and it turned out to be a patch of leprosy. He was treated, he's completely all right. Just reminded me, you said about that, reminded me.
Can you tell me?
Datta, he was a doctor. When he was swimming with his friend, he found a patch. That was a leprosy patch. Then he treated him and he became all right.
Okay. Yes. Any other example?
Dr. Meera,
Dr. Meera.
she treated the waterborne disease people.
ठीक है. Then.
Swamiji,
Yes.
Dr. Meera.
similar cases of Dr. Rahul, he is still living in that communist that area
Mindfulness,
in
just take an example of that mindfulness.
in Nagpur, Chandrapur district. So he is living for the tribes. He is highly educated epidemiologist, he and his wife. But they decided to serve for the tribal people there in Chandrapur district. So it will be related that.
Today we covered about 5, you know. Today we covered about 5. Do we remember any of these? That is the exercise.
This is the same as Dr. Meera.
Meera.
Okay, over now. Then.
This is company, electronics company, more effective for the people.
Electronics company.
Electronics.
Ah. Ration.
Rashness.
Rashness. Ah. Okay, rashness then.
Swamiji,
Ah.
whenever Kala used to travel with the Ishwari and sister, people are really compassionate, Swamiji, giving her all sorts of things.
Whenever a sister is traveling, people are very compassionate to her, allowing her to sit.
Towards Kanti.
Kanti.
Huh?
Yes, yes.
Her sister Kanti is blind.
Ah, right.
People are very compassionate.
Very. Okay, okay. Then, no, there were 5 or 10, whatever we remember. Caption we said, easy to remember. Then the story will come after that. So this is what is expected of us. When we read a sloka we may forget, we are not used to it. But the other one we are used to it. We were all in the professional field, family field, and social field also. So we might be remembering what is inspiration, rashness,
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Meera.
Goodness. oneness. Oneness.
No.
Meena, they told me mindfulness.
Mindfulness then.
Oneness.
Huh?
Oneness.
Oneness.
Selfless
Selfless
action.
action.
Inspiration.
Dry land.
Other inspiration. Inspiration. When is telling inspiration.
Ah.
Rashness, oneness, selfless act, mindfulness.
What is selfless action?
Selfless action.
Any, any shloka? Sloga we will remember only if we take notes. If we don't, if we just hear it, will- because we are not used to it, na?
Swami, jnana jnana.
Appa, very good.
Jnana
Sure. Then,
Sarvabhuteshu. Charomati.
Sarvabhudeshu.
Yasya nama kuto
Yasya.
So unless you have the Gita book, unless you note down on the Gita, something, oh, this is what today it was taken, we will not be able to remember. Merely remembering the incident will not help in this project. Merely knowing the sloga is not going to help. Merely knowing the meaning is not going to help. But if there is a coordination between these two, sloga number, sloga as such, example, when we do that, it will help us to identify relatable examples to next. Immediately we will remember, oh, this is that. But at the same time, it will be advisable if we remember the sloga number and mark it in our Gita book. That is how we become closer to Gita. Suppose we concentrate only on example, it will not serve the purpose. If we concentrate only on the sloka, it will not purpose. If we concentrate only on the meaning, it will not serve the purpose. There should be a trivida, knowledge, known and the knower. So the triputi should be there even in this. Otherwise, the effort will not be effective. At the time of sharing it, we will all feel happy. But after the session over, we will also forget. It will not stay with us. At this stage, it may be difficult for us, but still we will try, For education or knowledge, acquisition of knowledge, age is no bar. Even at the last moment of our journey, we can still try to absorb as much as possible which he provides. So we should take it that he provides now, even at our advanced age, for reasons known to him and known to some extent to us. Prayanakaleja manasa adilena. So when we do that, most of us or many of us are on that list, So it might help us. And it might help us also to pass it on to others. If we are inspired, if it touches and kindles, then only we will be able to pass it on to others who are not hearing or who are not evincing any interest. Even if say one, today morning in Bhajan Hall, when we were reading a few lines before the Ram Nam starts, Papa says it is not the quantity that matters, it's the quality. Not the how many times, how many count we have done Ram Nam. Even if it is chanted for a few times, whether it has a deep impact, that is important. So when we know all that we chant does not get registered in our mind, some are there, some still go out. How do we know that? Because after the session there is no change in us. Ram Nam stands for universalizing our mission. Because Ram is in everybody. Ram stands for the subtle and mysterious power. It is because of the subtle and mysterious power that everything is activated. So everybody is activated because of the subtle and mysterious power. So the moment I chant his name, I must become conscious of him, with the result that I will move slowly, start moving from me to we. So when we start chanting and when we are like, are we becoming more and more self-centered, or are we becoming more and more selfless? So Papa said, it is not what you chant, how you chant. So similarly, it is not how we listen, whether there is a supportive factors are there to assimilate and absorb the theme. Otherwise it becomes an exercise. Somebody will share something, we will hear something, we are back to square one. So we pray to him, give us that mental attitude. You are facilitating so many things for us. So give us that mental attitude by which we absorb, assimilate what is intended to be absorbed. Okay? With that bhavana, we will meet on Monday. We will take up the rest of the slokas. Hari Om.
Swami, for this rashness, why not that Indo-Sulfan was introduced, which resulted in such a large scale poisoning?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Even today,
People, farmers are suffering.
very true, very true. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, 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 pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Namaskar, Swami.
Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar. Father pranam, Father pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om.